Section 165A. Section 165A of Finance Act 2020. This particular section was introduced in Finance Act 2020. So after implementation of equalization levy, central government has actually explored the options where there are taxes can be levied. There is an opportunity for the taxes. Then they find out that e-commerce operators who are across the globe actually delivering and providing services to Indians, and Indians also, there is a growing trend that Indians are actually ordering the goods from outside India and taking the services from the outside India, especially for the e-commerce operators. Then central government thought that there is a need for the regularization, and as well as there is a need for that levy of taxation in this particular part. So then they introduced section 165A. So according to this section, if any e-commerce operator situated outside India and providing goods or providing services to Indians, then the same is taxable. Okay, so we will see what exactly the section is. Chargeability. A e-commerce operator being a non-resident who owns, manages, operates digital or online platform. Digital or online platform is like website. You can just take an example of Amazon.com here. Amazon.com, not .in. .in is for India. .com is a US company. An e-commerce operator. Another important note here is this particular section is applicable to the e-commerce operators only. Okay, who owns, manages, operates digital or online platform. For what? Sale of goods, provision of services. Both were covered. Whether it is a goods or services, both were covered. And such and uses the word and. Such e-commerce operator provides supplier services made, provided or facilitated to person resident in India. To whom they are providing services? Person resident in India. The first one. A non-resident in specified circumstances. What are the specified circumstances? I'm going to cover that. Similarly, to a person who buys such goods or services using IP address located in India. This is very interesting one and a very strange one also. So I'm going to cover this as well. Okay. Now, what is the rate of tax? Rate of tax for these transactions is 2%. First, we will see the point number 3 instead of point number 2, because point number 3 is easy to understand. Then you can understand the point number 2 well. Okay, point number 3, to a person who buys such goods or services from an IP address located in India. Let us see what does it means. Okay, I'm taking an example of Elon Musk. So Elon Musk wants to visit India and he came to the Delhi airport. Once he reaches the Delhi airport, he remembers that he promised to his family member that he will give a gift of iPhone, and he forgot to do that. Then he actually connected to the Delhi Wi-Fi, Delhi airport Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi, and he ordered from to a e-commerce operator. E-commerce operator situated in the USA. Situated in the USA. USA e-commerce operator, and he ordered the iPhone, for example, to his family member. He ordered an iPhone to his family member from the sitting at the Delhi airport. Now, whether this is taxable, based on the plain reading of the provision, this is taxable. This is taxable in the hands of whom? This e-commerce operator who is situated in the USA. So because Elon Musk, when he is ordering, he used the IP address which is located in India, and he ordered an iPhone from the e-commerce operator. So this is a covered case for the point number 3. With this example, I hope you understand what does it point number 3 means. But this looks like strange. Even if one instance of one transaction is also covered under the point number 3, but there are exceptions also. We are coming to that. Now we will see the point number 2. So the point number 2 here is a non-resident in specified circumstances. Sir, what are specified circumstances? A non-resident in specified circumstances. There are two categories that were covered in this case. So if you see here, specified circumstances means sale of advertisement, sale of data. So what is sale of advertisement? What is sale of data? So we are going to cover this with a simple example so that you will be able to understand it clearly. Okay, let me take an example for it. In this example, I'm going to take Facebook. FB is Facebook, and I'm going to take a hotel proprietor. This hotel is situated in Bali. Bali is a place in Indonesia. It's a best tourist place. Especially, you can see majority of Indians there. Indian tourism is high there. Indian tourists. Okay, and this hotel wants to further advertise their property. They have newly started, and they further want to advertise their property and targeting the Indian customers. So their main target is Indians, because most of the Indians are visiting Indonesia, Bali especially. So their target is Indian customers. So how easily they proceed with it? Further, they approached Facebook. They paid some money to the Facebook, and Facebook publicized on their site about this particular hotel, this particular property, on their Facebook page. So whoever is interested, with some specific filters, they posted this advertisement, and whoever is watches this, these Indians, whoever gets a clicks, and Facebook gets the revenue. And so they will this person will get some customers, right? This is the ideal scenario of advertisement. Now, once they get the revenue by the Facebook, this revenue also covered under section 165A. Here, the who is the payer? Hotel is not situated in India. It was situated in Indonesia, that is in Bali. And Facebook is not situated in India. The service is provided by the Facebook from the US, sitting in the US. So this transaction is between the two non-residents. It's not from India. There are two non-residents. But still, Facebook is targeting the Indian customers in this advertisement, and they are getting the revenue. This revenue is also comes under section 165A. Here also Facebook needs to be the pay equalization levy to the Indian government. I hope you clear with this example of, we are going to see what exactly the point is. Now we will see the point number one. For the example, just I have given an example. Specified circumstances means sale of advertisement which targets a customer who is resident in India. Okay, so sale of advertisement which targets a resident in India. What does it mean? The hotel example. Hotel is publicizing their property through Facebook, right? Targeting the Indian customers who is resident in India is watching their particular advertisement. Or they have used one more interesting statement here: the customer who access the advertisement through IP address located in India. So not only it's covering the person resident in India who is watching within India, anybody who access this particular advertisement sitting anywhere in the world but uses the IP address located in India, that also covered by this particular law, particular levy. Okay, specific circumstances means what does it exactly? Sale of advertisement which targets a customer who is a resident in India or who access the particular advertisement from the IP address located in India. Simple example. Just remember the Facebook and hotel wall example for this. And I'm coming to the next one. That is sale of data collected from a person who is a resident in India or from a person who uses the internet protocol located in India. Okay, what does it mean? Now let me take an example of the one tourist company situated in India, that is Make My Trip, MMT. Make My Trip. So the Make My Trip is having a lots of lakhs of Indian customers tourist data. Now there is another company. Sorry, there is another company in USA. Again a tourist company in USA. Company X. So company X in USA, which is in tourism. And this company USA wants to establish their business in India also. And they want to connect with the travel agency in India, so that whoever is visiting to the US, they will come to this particular travel agency to go to the different places in the USA. Now they approached MMT here. They approached MMT, said that you give me the all your customers data so that I will send a direct advertisement, and we both will partner so that we will grow further. Okay, that's the ideal deal. So for that MMT agreed, and they have given the customers data to them. All their customers data, like their email ID and their phone number, if phone number is available, the phone number and address and other details. And so with this data, this company Axis started giving the advertisements, so they are getting some revenue. This MMT, for the sale of this data, they don't give it for free, right? They will get some revenue also. So MMT will get some revenue, for example, rupees, I would say 10 lakhs, simple amount. I would say 10 lakhs. On this 10 lakhs, whether levy is applicable or not. Yes, the levy is applicable. When I say specified circumstances, this is one of the specified circumstances. So till now, I gave you two examples. One is related to the Facebook and hotel in Bali. That is actually related to the sale of advertisement. The point number one. And the second example number two is Make My Trip and company X in the USA for the sale of data. But that is point number two. Now we have covered the specified circumstances under the equalization levy. Okay. So these two specified circumstances we have covered. Now we have covered the specified circumstances point also. So we have covered all the 3 points. Now till now what we have learned under section 165. Let us summarize. So section 165A is applicable to the e-commerce operator who is a non-resident. Okay, and that e-commerce operator is providing the product, that is supply or the services or both. And to whom he is providing the service? A person resident in India, a non-resident in specified circumstances, and the third interesting one, person who buys or use goods or services using IP address located in India. IP address located in India. For the point number three, I have given you the example of Elon Musk, right? And what is the tax rate? What is the tax rate of the equalization levy? The rate is 2%. Now we will move on to the exceptions part. So what are the exceptions? Not all the cases this one section 165A is applicable. So they have given, lawmakers given some exceptions to make the ease of doing business in India. So for example, a e-commerce operator is there providing services from UK, and the total amount that he billed to the Indian customers is only 10,000 or 20,000 or 50,000, even 1 lakh also. So are we going to deduct a tax from that person, or he is liable to pay the tax to the Indian government? The answer is no, because this will impact the ease of doing business in India, and it will impact actually a small e-commerce operator who is residing outside India. So we are not encouraging them to do the business with Indian customers. So that have a negative impact. So what lawmakers did here is, whoever is the e-commerce operator did the business with Indian customers, if that total business during the previous year is less than 2 crores, then this section 165A is not applicable. I will just read out the point again. Sales, turnover, gross receipts of such e-commerce operator from e-commerce supply or services made, provided or facilitated is less than 2 crores during the previous year. If it is less than 2 crores during the previous year, then for him, these provisions are not applicable. This business is not his own sales turnover and gross receipts, right? It is not the sales turnover on his P&L. It is the sales turnover or gross receipts with the business in India, only particular to business in India. If it is not crossing 2 crores, then the word used here is less than 2 crores, not 2 crores. If this says exactly 2 crores. In the examination, if you get a question like, if the total services provided by the e-commerce operator in India during the previous year comes to exactly 2 crores, then they are liable to pay the equalization levy. Okay, that is the point number one. And the point number two is, we have already covered this point. If in case any e-commerce operator has a PE in India, and this service is also connected with such PE in India, then this provision section 165A is not applicable. Not only section 165A, even the section 165 equalization levy, which is related to the advertisement services, also not applicable. If there is a PE and service also connected with the PE in India. Okay, and the point number three. The point number three says, in case if this particular service comes under the advertisement service on which equalization levy under section 165 at the rate 6% is applicable, then 165A is not applicable in this case. That means section 165 is priority one. Section 165A section 165 supersedes the impact of section 165A. If the EL is applicable under section 165, 165A is not applicable. Consideration received. And the fourth point, I am covering the fourth and fifth relating to the same kind of exception. So I am taking an example. To explain this, I am taking an example. Just a minute. This time I am going to take an example of the Indian company, which is Reliance Industries Limited. Reliance Industries Limited, Mukesh Ambani got a thought that why don't we increase our business and start a e-commerce business in the USA. So then he actually started a company called Company X. Let's take another example. Same company X. He started a company X in the USA. He's from India, right? So this is the e-commerce platform. the funding, the funding as well as goods and services, to some extent the services and all other things to run this company is provided from the Reliance Industries Limited only. So in turn, this company X is doing a e-commerce business in India, and it is targeting the Indian customers and is doing the business with Indian customers. He is delivering the products as well as services to the Indian customers. In this case, equalization levy under section 165A is applicable. The answer is no. Equalization levy on 165A is not applicable. The reason is the lawmaker says that if the products, services owned or controlled by person resident in India, then this equalization levy provisions are not applicable. Not only goods, even the services also. Because in this case, Reliance Industries is completely controlling the company X, which is situated in the USA. Even though it is providing the e-commerce services liable for the taxation, as the funding and the goods services directly from the Indian, so this person resident in India, in this case equalization levy 2% is not applicable. So that is what the point number 4 and point number 5 is about. That is the exception list. Let me go to the, yeah. So point number 4, consideration received or receivable shall not be taxable under this provision if such goods are owned by person resident in India, Reliance Industries in this case, or by such goods effectively connected with the PE in India of non-resident. Similarly, if consideration received or receivable shall not be taxable under this provision if such services are provided by the PRA, like Reliance Industries providing services to the company X. So whatever businesses company X is doing, indirectly those services provided by the Reliance Industries only are connected to the Reliance Industries who is a person resident in India. In that case also, these provisions of section 165A are not applicable. Okay, this is all about the point number 4 and point number 5. There are total 5 exceptions are there. What are the exceptions? First one is relating to the sales turnover gross receipts of such e-commerce operator. If it is less than 2 crores, then EL is not applicable. Second, point number 2, if the e-commerce operator has a PE in India and the service is also connected with the PE in India, then also it is not applicable. And point number 3, if the equalization levy under section 165 is applicable, section 165A is not applicable in that particular case. And fourth point is if that no particular non-resident e-commerce operator providing the goods to Indians, but that particular e-commerce operator owned controlled by the person resident in India are effectively connected with a PE which is in India, then also the equalization levy is applicable. Similar case with the services also. If the services owned or controlled by the person resident in India or by the PE which is situated in India, then also section 165A provisions are not applicable. Okay, these are the 5 points. In summary, what is section 165A is? Section 165A is applicable to the e-commerce operator where the products or services are both, and to person resident in India, non-resident specified circumstances, and to person who buys or sells such goods using the IP address located in India. There are 3 points, and the rate of tax is 2%. And what are the specified circumstances? Specified circumstances, in summary, there are 2 cases of specified circumstances. One is sale of advertisement. So, okay, sale of advertisement, then sale of data. There are 2 points were covered in the specified circumstances. And EL under section 165A is not applicable. When it is not applicable, we just covered it. Not going to say again that one. Now we will see the definition of e-commerce supply or service. So there is nothing new here. Whatever we covered in the provision, same words will come here. Okay. For example, online sale of goods owned by the e-commerce operator. Online provision of service provided by the e-commerce operator. We already covered this. Goods or services are both. Online sale of goods or provision of services are both. They just extended this particular point. That is the definition of e-commerce supply or services. Any combination like product, service, or in combination, which is covered in the above points, also covered under the definition of e-commerce supply or service. Not that important from the examination point of view, just for your understanding. Explanation. Online sale of goods or provision of services would include one or more of the following online services, namely acceptance of offer for sale, placing a purchase order, acceptance of purchase order, payment of consideration, supply of goods, provision of services. So this is actually You can go through on your own this online sale of goods and provision of services, not that important for the examination point of view. What is important from the examination point of view, section 165A is more important. Section 165 is very, very important, whatever points that I have covered there. Now we are moving on to the actually to the procedural parts. Procedural parts we are moving on to. Starting from section 166 to the end of this chapter is only contains the provisions like interest, penalty, what will happen if we don't pay the equalization levy, and other things, what are the time limits, etc. Till now, whatever that I have said is very, very important for the examination. Even procedural things also they are started asking the questions. We will see the procedural provisions also here. Before that, we will try to solve one or two questions from the section 165 here to make your concept clear. Okay. Okay. Question number 3. So question number 3, xyz.com, an e-commerce operator incorporated in China, has no physical presence in India. That means xyz.com is a non-resident e-commerce operator. When you see non-resident and e-commerce operator, which section is applicable? Section 165A, right? It has no permanent establishment in India. It sells goods worth of 1.2 crores to Indian residents. Just decode this. So e-commerce operator is supplying goods. So that means it is covered under section 165A, 1.2 crores. Now we will see the point number B. Very interesting. Very interesting. Point number B. Service provided to person resident in India by way of sale of online advertisement when amount of bill or aggregate amount of bills to a recipient of service during the financial year doesn't exceed 1 lakh per recipient of service. This is very important point. However, the gross amount of all bills is 70 lakhs. Simply, xyz.com is providing the online advertisement services also. The total billing for the financial year is 70 lakhs. But per customer, the amount of billing doesn't exceed 1 lakh per recipient of service. So what does it mean? Per recipient of service, the amount of billing is either 90,000, 80,000 or even 1 lakh. It has not crossed the 1 lakh. But total amount is 70 lakhs. Total of all of those customers, if I add it for the whole financial year, the total amount is 70 lakhs. This is what it says. So by plain reading of point number B, we feel like it is a covered under section 165 for equalization levy at the rate of 6%. But if you see the exception list of section 165, which talks about if the total set amount paid for a particular for the specified service, which is the advertisement service, if it is only up to 1 lakh, then equalization levy 6% is not applicable. Okay, in this particular case, section 165 is not applicable. When the section 165 is not applicable, we need to check whether section 165A is applicable because he is an e-commerce operator. That we need to check. For section 165A applicability, we need to check the turnover. Turnover, if it crosses or 2 crores or more, then section 165A is applicable. To understand, to make it this point clear about this building below 1 lakh, why it is not applicable, I will give you an example to understand this point number B well. Okay, so in this example, so xyz.com, this was in China, and it is provided online advertisement services to multiple Indian customers. Let us take A, B, C. So 50k, so 50,000, 20k, 20,000, 10,000, 5,000, and again 10,000. Like this, we have provided the services. Each billing doesn't cross 1 lakh. Now, when think about A perspective, just think about from the A perspective. When he is actually making this payment of 50,000, will he deduct equalization levy 6% or not? He don't deduct the 6% because the total amount that he's paying it to the xyz.com for the whole financial year is just 50k. It has not crossed 1 lakh. From his point of view, he won't deduct any tax, right? From B perspective, customer B, the total amount of billing that he is making, he's actually making the payment to the xyz.com is only 20,000. From his perspective also, he also don't deduct the equalization levy of 6%. Similarly with others also. So each recipient is actually paying below 1 lakh. Everybody thinks that this the total amount I am paying only below 1 lakh, equalization levy is not applicable. So when we are actually applying the exception provision under section 165 particularly, we have to see per recipient of service is crossing 1 lakh or not. If it is not crossing, even though the total amount of billing is crossing 1 lakh, equalization levy of advertisement services at the rate of 6% is not applicable. So in this case, point number B, equalization levy section 165 is not applicable. But we need to check section 165A applicability here, okay, which is related to the e-commerce operator. Now moving on to the point number C. Point number C says service provided to non-resident by way of sale of online advertisement which targets the resident Indian customers amounting to 20 lakhs. If you remember section 165 when I am discussing non-resident in specified circumstances, one of the specified circumstances is sale of online advertisement, right? We have discussed it in detail there. So this is covered clear case of section 165A. This is also section 165A. This we need to check whether section 165A is turnover is crossing 2 crores or not, because section 165A applicability depends on the turnover. If turnover crosses 2 crores or more, then only this equalization levy 2% is applicable, right? Now we will see the answer. Here you can see I'm directly going into the, you can go through. I'll directly going into the table whether computation of the taxable services. For the computation of taxable services, I'm going to explain you one by one. First point number one, it sells goods worth of 1.2 crores to Indian residents. This is a clear case. A e-commerce operator providing supply to the present resident in India is 1.2 crores. So it is covered under the section 165A. We are going to calculate the total turnover of xyz.com from the services that are provided to the Indian customers, right? So first of all, one point, computation of taxable services. Computation of taxable services, the first point, e-commerce supply of goods to residents, 1.2 crores will come. Next, point number two. So point number two is relating to the section 165A related, where the total amount is not crossing 1 lakh, but the total gross amount of billing for the whole year is 70 lakhs. Now we will take that 70 lakhs also here, because section 165A is not applicable. Now we need to check section 165A is applicable or not in this particular case. So 70 lakhs, we have taken that also. Then third one, non-resident in specified circumstances. Non-resident in specified circumstances, the total amount is 12 lakhs. So they have earned a revenue by sale of advertisement which is targeting the Indian customers. Okay. Now we have to take that one also, because that is a covered case under section 165A. Now 20 lakhs. Total amount is 2 crore 10 lakhs. So total amount is 2 crore 10 lakhs, which is crossing the 2 crores. Now equalization levy at the rate of 2% is applicable. Levy XYZ limited need to pay is 4.2 lakh, which is 2.1 crores into 2% under section 165A. This is the question asked in the examination CA final December 2021. Very good example. You may expect similar kind of questions in the examination. So here the only tricky point is point number B. If the point number B is not there, this question is very simple, very basic one. They would not have asked it for 6 marks. Now we will see question number 5. Question number 5 is actually a revision of section 165, section 165A, and all the concepts in equalization levy. On the day before the exam, I suggest you to solve this question to cover the entire chapter. Okay, this is covered under MTP November 2022. So there are two companies, both are non-residents, both are belongs to different countries, and they are providing services to each other. So then the question asks you that if this particular company has permanent establishment in India, what would be your answer? This another company is having a permanent establishment in India, what would be your answer? Like that. So instead of reading this line by line this question, I will make a summary of this question, then we will discuss in detail. Okay. Okay. Yeah, in this particular case, there is a company called Turnip. There is a company called Turnip. And there is a company called Sam. Turnip is a manufacturer. And it is based on country D. Sam is a e-commerce operator. and it is based on company Y. Okay, Turnip is based out of company D and Sam is based out of company Y, and it wants to grab the Indian business, Indian customers. It wants to grab the Indian customers. So as it is an e-commerce company, Turnip went to Sam. It asked Sam that, okay, please give me, please do a advertisement in favor of me targeting the Indian customers. So I will pay you some money. So then in consideration of it, Turnip paid 5 lakhs rupees to Sam for provision of this online advertisement targeting the Indian customers. Now, in this particular case, so what kind of service Sam has provided? Online advertisement. In summary, there are two companies, Turnip and Sam. Sam is an e-commerce operator and providing the online advertisement services also. Turnip is a manufacturer, manufactures a mixer grinder in the brand name of Finest. Okay, Turnip is a manufacturer. Turnip went to Sam and asking the company, please give me, do a favor. I will pay you 5 lakh rupees and you make a advertisement which is targeting the Indian customers. Okay, I want to expand my business to India. That's what the objective is. This is the transaction arrangement. In this particular case, which section is applicable? Equalization levy at the rate of 6% or levy at the rate of 2%, which is applicable to the e-commerce operator. Just pause this video for a moment and just think about it. What is applicable here? By plain reading of this provision, as the service is related to online advertisement, you may apply section 165 at the rate of 6%, which is incorrect. I'll tell you the reason why. So when this section 165A is applicable, when non-resident is providing the services to a person resident in India or to a permanent establishment which is located in India. Okay, to a non-resident, they are having a PE. If this non-resident is providing services to a PE which is established in India, then the equalization levy of at the rate of 6% for advertisement services is applicable. Even though in this particular case, Sam is providing the online advertisement services to Turnip, still this section 165 is not applicable because the reason is that both the service provider as well as receiver both are non-residents. Both are non-residents. So if both are non-residents, both the non-resident is having this transaction called sale of advertisement. When I'm using the word sale of advertisement, you should able to remember section 165A is non-resident in specified circumstances. One of the point of non-resident in specified circumstances, that is point number 1, sale of advertisement between non-resident to non-resident. So this point was clearly covered in that point. So section 165A is applicable. Now you ask me, so sir, section 165A is applicability to turnover test we need to do. Turnover, if it is below 2 crores, then equalization levy is not applicable. So for a moment, the SAM Limited for the previous year, it made a total business with India by products, by services, by sale of online advertisement, etc. is 4.2 crores. 4.2 crores. That means it crossed 2 crores. So Sam Limited is liable to pay equalization levy at the rate of 2% in this case. Yes. So this is what the summary of this question. Now they have given a different scenarios in the end of this question and ask us what are the tax implications. Now let me move on to the question. In this question, we covered till here. In this question, both Turnip Inc. and Sam Inc. have no permanent establishment in India. Turnip Inc., Sam Inc., these two companies have no permanent establishment in India. If there are no permanent establishment, it's a clear case of section 165A. Clear case of section because both are not having a permanent establishment in India, both are non-residents. Then section 165A is applicable. Now we will see what is the answer for point number 1. So point number 1, it says that equalization levy 2% section 165A is attracted on 5 lakhs. 5 lakhs is what? The total payment. Total payment made by Turnip to the SAM. It was covered here. During the previous year 2021-22, Turnip paid 5 lakhs to SAM Inc. for such services. 5 lakhs to SAM Inc. for such services. Total amount paid by Turnip to SAM is 5 lakhs. The company names are little confusing. Okay, you need to you can rewatch this video again. for the clarity. The first point is like equalization levy where there are 2% is applicable under section 165A on the amount of 5 lakhs being the amount of consideration received by SAM INC, an e-commerce operator from e-commerce services provided by Turnip INC, a non-resident in specified circumstances. Okay, namely sale of advertisement, which targets a customer who is a resident in India. Since the gross receipts of SAM INC exceeds 2 crores, as the if you see the turnover from these services to 4.2 crores, and this is a non-resident specified circumstances. So if both Turnip and SAM doesn't have a PE in India, transactions between non-resident to non-resident, then in that particular case, equalization levy at the rate of 2% is applicable. Now, point number two. Point number two says, this is over. Now point number two. Turnip INC has a PE in India, but SAM INC has no PE in India. So what does it mean? Let me go to the example where I have summarized this question. Let me go to that. So in this case, Turnip has PE in India, it has no PE, no PE. It has a PE, Turnip has a PE in India, SAM has a no PE in India. SAM is service provider or receiver? Service provider. Turnip, service receiver. Okay. The service provider doesn't have a PE in India, but Turnip has a PE in India. What does it mean? Whether now this particular transaction covered under section 165 or 165A. Pause this video for a moment. Just think about. My answer is section 165 equalization levy is applicable, because in this case if the service receiver has a PE in India, that means service receiver is exist in India and service is provided by the non-resident and the service is related to the online advertisement. In this particular case, equalization levy at the rate of 6% is applicable. That is why I said this particular question covers all the points what we have discussed. Let me go to the question again. See here, point number two. Point number two, in the present case, equalization whether 6% is chargeable on the amount of 5 lakh received by SAM INC, a non-resident not having PE in India, from Turnip INC, non-resident having PE in India. In summary, it is saying that service receiver having a PE in India, so it is covered, is a covered case of online advertisement under section 165. A 6% equalization levy is applicable. The summary of this entire sentence is that only. Okay, you can go through this answer in detail. Now, point number three, question number three. What is question number three? SAM INC having a PE in India and the advertisement services are effectively contracted with such PE. Again, another interesting point here. SAM INC. Now, in this question, what they said, SAM, who is a service provider, having a PE in India and that particular service also they are providing from the PE which is exist in India. That means SAM has a PE in India and services provided to the Turnip. Turnip is from the PE which is situated in India. Now, service providers sitting in India, services provided from India only. In this particular case, which section is applicable? Section 165 or section 165A? Just think about it. This third point is little confusing. So, in this point number three, neither the equalization levy under section 165 nor the levy which is specified under section 165A are applicable here. The section normal income tax provisions are applicable in this case because the service provider is providing the services from India only. So if the service provider is a resident in India and providing the service, if he is having a PE in India, we will just consider as a resident in India. If he is a resident in India, then the normal income tax provisions are applicable here. So we can take an example. We can take a tax provision under section 9. Section 9. If you hear about section 9 in the non-resident taxation, that is well and good. But we are covering this particularly section 9, which is income accrue or arise in India. So this particular section we will cover extensively in the non-resident taxation. Now, for a moment, you just just know about section 9 is that section 9 is related to the entities which are having a business connection in India, for which those entities income deemed to be accrue or arise in India as per section 9. So point number 3. Point number 3. In point number 3, where SAM Inc. has a PE in India and the advertisement services are effectively connected with such PE in India, the provision of services, the service provided is situated in India only. So all the income tax provisions will apply. So because of that reason, the answer says that however, since SAM Inc. has a PE in India, advertisement service effectively connected with such PE in India, income attributable from such advertisement would be deemed to accrue or arise in India in the hands of SAM Inc. under section 9 subsection 1 clause 1 of the Income Tax Act and be taxable in the hands of the SAM Inc. under Income Tax Act 1961. Under the SAM Inc., normal income tax provisions are applicable. Section 9 is applicable here. Equalization levy provisions under the Finance Act are not applicable here. This is all about question number 5. Now we are moving on to the procedural part like interest, penalty, return filing, appellate provisions, etc. Okay.